Monroeville, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh. Population, 21,000. Family income, about average. Everywhere here, there's newness, generous use of land, and modern imagination. Yes, this is today's typical miracle. This is Monroeville. Its industry? Well, you might say raising children. A big job it is, too. This kind of industry calls for modern homes, up-to-date planning, modern churches, modern administration, and most of all, modern schools. Now there's a big responsibility for you, those schools. In Monroeville, as in most American communities, that responsibility rests with a select group: businessmen, doctors, an engineer, a lawyer. They are the school board. Serving without pay, they guide the destinies of their community school system, help chart the future of Monroeville's 4,500 youngsters. And they have an arduous task: to use wisely the tax dollars entrusted to them, get the most from every cent spent, build and buy the finest facilities, so Monroeville's youngsters may be healthier, happier, and better educated. Not long ago, the board met to discuss the method of heating a new elementary school they were planning to build. Some members felt a truly modern school ought to be heated by electricity. They asked their architect. No one knew all the facts, so he did what a conscientious planner would do. He called in all the experts, his engineers, power company. First to speak was a representative of the Duquesne Light Company. They supply electrical power to the Monroeville area.
And so I brought with me some of the facts that I believe you're looking for. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them as we go along.
I have a question.
Yes?
Isn't it true that your electric power costs more than any of the other kinds of fuel we can use? How can you possibly justify heating the school electrically on those grounds alone?
A good question, but first let's see what's required to heat your schools with those other fuels. May we see that film, please? Here you see a drawing of a school building much like the one your architect has planned. Now, unless it's heated electrically, this building will need a big boiler room and a boiler or two. Of course, that's going to require some space, valuable space, and chances are some excavation. Trenching for pipe runs usually is desirable. Lots of pipe to carry hot water or steam to many radiators throughout the building. Let's not forget the condensate or circulation pumps and a massive chimney. Now, even though the building is not heated electrically, it still needs electric power. Power for the pumps, for boiler controls, for thermostatic room control. But if we change our minds and decide to heat the building electrically, we can eliminate boiler room, boiler, pumps, piping, this type of control, chimney, and just change the location and quantity of roof insulation and increase the size of our electric supply. Quite a difference.
Quite a difference. And he proceeded to show them in black and white the comparative construction cost resulting from the difference in two schools. One, an existing Monroeville school with gas-fired steam heating, and the other, their newly planned school, which the architect had designed similarly, except a little larger and equipped with better roof insulation and electric heating. Believe it or not, the electrically heated school would cost $41,500 less to build.
That's very convincing. But it is true, isn't it, that your electric power is the most expensive of any fuel?
Well, let's take a look at that point. Gas consumed to heat your school now costs you about $2,120 annually. We estimate the cost of electricity for heating your new school will run you around $5,210 a year.
So, where's the saving?
That's coming. Look here.
He pointed out that it cost $1,383 a year for 30 years to repay the bond money for additional construction required by gas heating. Average annual interest at 4.5% costs another $933, plus an annual reserve for boiler replacement, cost of pump operation, boiler insurance, higher building insurance, cost of boiler maintenance, repairs and supplies. Add all this to the annual cost of gas, and you have a grand total of $5,768 a year for gas heat, against an estimated $5,210 for electric heating, saving $558 a year by heating the school electrically.
You talk about boiler replacement, boiler insurance, boiler maintenance. Doesn't your electric system require maintenance too?
True, the wet heat equipment outside the boiler room takes only slightly more maintenance than its electric counterpart. But the electric equivalent of the boilers are the power transformers, and these are normally furnished and installed by the utility. The actual boiler is at the power generating station, and it is also maintained entirely by the utility and paid for in the electric bill. Now, as for future fuel costs, a look at this chart will show you the cost of fossil fuels has been steadily increasing, while the cost of electric power has remained about the same. What will tomorrow's costs be? Well, gentlemen, you can draw your own conclusions.
And draw them they did. In response to eager questions from board members concerning available equipment, their architect and engineer suggested that they would arrange a full explanation by equipment manufacturers. One leading manufacturer was on hand when the board convened a week later.
Our Chromalox unit ventilator. It assures optimum classroom comfort by providing individual room control automatically for ventilation, warming, and cooling. Does so quietly without drafts, and economically because of a demand sentinel, our unique control device which increases the unit's heating capacity as it feels outdoor air temperature dropping.
The manufacturer shows his simple, compact unit ventilator and goes on to explain how it fits specifically the varying demands of classroom occupancy and temperature variations. He shows how rooms on the sunny side of the building may need cooling, while rooms on the side exposed to shade and chilling winds require heat. He notes the need for warmth at the time the classes begin. He then shows how the body warmth of the students contributes heat to the room, causing the heat requirement of the unit ventilators to be lowered. He points out that only with built-in individual room control can quick modulation of heating and cooling be provided to ensure that each classroom is properly maintained at optimum comfort temperature.
This unit, with built-in temperature control, fulfills the most critical demands. It both warms the room, cools the room, and brings in fresh air from the outside, mixing and delivering the air in filtered and measured amounts throughout the room. Another chart, this one showing a typical classroom, indicates where the unit ventilator is mounted against an outside wall, where it can draw in fresh outdoor air as needed. An automatic damper controls indoor and outdoor airflow to provide proper room ventilation or cooling. The air mixture is then filtered, and electric elements add heat according to the actual need. This air is then directed almost straight up to the ceiling by the unit ventilator fans. This curtain of rising air, passing the window, blocks the external cold. It hits the ceiling, flows across it to the side walls, where it drifts down into the living area. And then it travels back across the floor at desk level, returning to the unit ventilator. Its temperature is sampled for comfort control and again is mixed with outside air, filtered and warmed if need be, and the cycle is continued. We have removed this panel to demonstrate that everything is built into this unit at the factory, including all automatic controls. Now this means easier, more economical installation and maintenance. This unit never needs to be oiled. It requires only a few minutes once a month to change the filter.
The board members' interest increases. Here are more savings, and they like the idea of built-in individual room control. They also like the idea that this electric heating doesn't call for an engineer, an expert to operate. And here's another individual control they like too. All power to these heaters is fed or cut off by a simple arrangement of centrally located time clocks. These permit the temperature to be reduced when the building is not in use. But suppose there's to be a special meeting in one room some evening. A responsible person merely presets the clock override on the unit in the room to be used, and at the appointed hour of use, that room will be comfortably warm, and after the meeting will then be returned to overnight temperature automatically. The manufacturer also shows the board how these unit ventilators can be used in conjunction with other electric devices, such as baseboard radiation in offices, cabinet convectors for corridors, console-type heaters for entranceways, auditorium-type unit ventilators for gym, multipurpose rooms, and auditoriums, unit heaters for kitchens and food storage, even special Chromalox heating cable embedded in pavement to melt snow automatically.
You can heat the floor of your kindergarten this way, and economically too, so the tots can play right on the floor without feeling the slightest chill.
You know what it feels like to open presents Christmas morning? Well, that's about the way these people felt. These people whose job it is to spend their neighbors' tax dollars the best possible way. The Monroeville School Board made its decision. Electric heating for the new Northern Pike School. Working as a team, architect, engineer, manufacturer, and contractor. Plan and install the system. Have it ready and operating in time for the first scheduled day of classes. Then came the real test. The comfort of teachers and students, regardless of the weather, at an operating cost within the range of the estimate made to the school board. In order to prove it, careful records were kept of the weather, setting of automatic controls, and time of special activities beyond the normal school day. Then,
I have here the operating costs for heating Northern Pike School during the past full 12 months. Remember, the original estimate given to us for that period was $5,210. Well, even though the past winter was nearly 4% colder than normal, the bill actually amounted to only $5,290. This is almost on the nose with our original figures. I think they prove we made a wise choice.
thanks to electric heating at Northern Pike School, they have this. And they have this. With its clean, quiet electric heat, they have this. And as the population grows, an expansion of classroom facilities may be required, how easy it will be just to run electric lines into the new rooms and install compact packaged electric unit ventilators. How very economical and how very practical. Electric heating has proved itself practical today. Nothing else may be practical tomorrow. That's how they feel about it in modern Monroeville, Pennsylvania, where modern thinking includes planning for tomorrow. And that includes heating comfort for today's youngsters the all-electric way.